My name is Jeff Clark. I'm with GoldenCare USA. I want to thank you guys for taking a little time to come on. It's a real short webinar today. We're just going to, again, go over the subtle differences between these two great plans. You know, the short-term care is becoming a bigger and bigger factor in our industry because it's getting harder to place those long-term care cases underwriting-wise. Frankly, there's just fewer companies offering long-term care, and the ones that are being pretty persnickety about who they're taking. We're just finding more and more of a need, and then the price, of course, has gotten so expensive. So, you know, in a nutshell, and again, sometimes I tend to do this in my introduction. I'll cover some of the things we're going to cover, but, you know, with 90% of claims don't exceed 2 years of care, well, if you look at the Aetna and the GTL, you know, these are 1 year plans, and they have like a 6-month or, you know, 1 year nursing home or a home care benefit you can tie with them. So a 1 year nursing home benefit can be a lot more valuable than people give it credit for. And yes, the premiums are going to probably be half of what a long-term care plan is, because typically they're going to have a minimum of a 2 year benefit, 3, 4, 5 year benefit. And so, you know, for a lot of folks who can't qualify for traditional long-term care for whatever reason, financially, health-wise, you should be taking a hard look at some of these short-term care plans. Again, these are two of the better ones that we've got. Aetna's Recovery Care and GTL's Recovery Cash. So let's go through these. And when do you use them and when do you not use them? Well, first, right at the bat, you know, of course, we have brokers in all 50 states, but, you know, we have a little product availability grid. So if I'm sitting, you know, in Colorado, well, then I might want to go ahead and, you know, write the Recovery Care. If I'm in Texas, I'm going to be writing Recovery Care. Why? Because the Recovery Cash is not there. So if you're sitting in, you know, Wisconsin, Indiana, Texas, Arizona, well, it makes it a pretty easy decision. You're probably writing Recovery Care. But if you're in these areas in the green there, of course, where both products are approved, well, then we can start looking at the differences. So first of all, let's just do a little company background on both plans. You know, Aetna's a big, big company. You know, they serve an estimated 44 million Americans. You think about that, that's 1 out of 6 Americans, basically, you know, and how many of their children. So that it's just a huge A-rated, AM Best company. I think we all know who Aetna is. Then, of course, you got GTL. And GTL is a real favorite of ours. They do a lot of these little niche products. You know, the hospital indemnity. They do the, you know, the cancer care. They put us together a critical care cash plan that, you know, that plan is what we use as our first option when people get declined long-term care, because there we can get up to a 2 year nursing home benefit that's reusable 3 times. So that's another one we do with GTL. But GTL has a number of these little products that really kind of fill those niche products. You know, like, again, the hospital indemnity plan, the home care only plan, this particular recovery cash plan, which is really a neat little plan. So neat company. We've been working with them for more than a decade. We write a lot of business with them. Easy to work with. Lots of great things. Of course, they have a partnership with the Mayo Clinic, so you have access to, with any of their plans, you have access to call the Mayo Clinic and get some advice there. So Aetna and GTL, both pretty strong companies. So policy basics, and for those of you that maybe don't know a ton about short-term care, there's not that much to learn. It's very similar to long-term care, it's just shorter benefit periods. So if you look at this plan here, we've got Aetna on the left and GTL on the right. So with Aetna's, you can, for the nursing home part, you can pick anything from $10 a day to $300 a day. So again, you've got a $3,000 a month benefit. No, excuse me, $300 a month benefit to a $9,000 a month benefit. You can pick an elimination period of 90, 180, or 270. Over here on the GTL side, you can go at $50 a day or $300 a day. And their benefit periods, if you notice here, are 30, 45, 60, 90, 180, and 360. And so where Aetna has a 3-month plan, 6-month plan, 9-month plan, or 1 year plan, GTL has just a couple more options there. And again, depending on the cost. Important to note here underneath the benefit period options, both of these plans will allow you to reuse them once. So it's not a one and done deal. If you do have a claim that exhausts the benefits, a 1 year claim, I believe it's after 6 months, that's why it's coming up. Yeah, both of them are after 6 months, they're towards the bottom. They'll restore that benefit to full again. You can pick an elimination period. With Aetna, 0, 20, or 100. With GTL, it's 0 and 20. Again, you're going to see a ton of similarities here. They're almost twins here. Hospital indemnity. Now, Aetna does actually throw, which is interesting, GTL throws their hospital indemnity benefit in a lot of their products, but This particular one they don't, but Aetna does. And so, and I don't know how much with Medicare you folks are doing, but let me just give you my 2 cents here. Hospital indemnity is a huge thing these days because there are 2 options that people do on their Medicare when they get to their Medicare age or Medicare coverage. They do Medicare supplements, traditional supplements, been around since the 60s when Medicare started, or these new Medicare Advantage plans. I shouldn't say new, they've been around for probably 10, 12 years now. But so when people, across the country, 40% of people now have Medicare Advantage plans, maybe 60% have supplements. So if they're sitting there with an Advantage plan, again, 4 or 10 clients that you run into, they have a big exposure when it comes to the hospital indemnity. Because typically how a Medicare Advantage plan works is that, days 1 through 3 or 1 through 5, they got to pay about $200 to $300 each day they're in the hospital. And so they save a lot of money in their supplement, but they're sitting there with that hospital risk hanging over their head, hence the need for hospital indemnity. So if I'm selling an Aetna recovery care plan, and I happen to ask them if they have a Medicare Advantage plan and they have a hospital indemnity, you better believe I'm going to add that rider every single time. It's a very inexpensive way to take care of that. There's a variety of benefits within that hospital indemnity. I won't go through all of them now. Okay. The restoration benefits, they both do after 6 months. They're both an indemnity benefit. So they're going to indemnify you after the fact when the care has happened. So, okay. Policy basics continued. They both trigger the same way. 2 out of 6 ADLs or a cognitive impairment. Same as long-term care there. Annual policy fee. GTL believes in their policy fees. And they're there usually for life. So Aetna does not have one. Bed reservation. So we all know when you leave a nursing home, you have to go to the hospital for a couple of days. Maybe you've had a stroke. When you're at the nursing home, that those nursing homes run at 100% occupancy. And there's usually people waiting for beds. So as soon as you leave that nursing home and spend a week in the hospital, when you get out of the hospital, your bed's usually gone. And so Aetna doesn't have a bed reservation, or they do have a bed reservation where GTL does not. Spousal discount, GTL gives you a little bonus that's for the both applying, where Aetna does not. Primordial, again, these are kind of splitting hairs, but GTL has a little bit of a tiny little load, I guess, if you do pay anything but annually. And it looks like if you pay monthly with Aetna, there's absolutely no load, but 0.84 is as close to no load you're going to get. So it's kind of a dead heat there. Pre-existing conditions, they both have a 6-month prior to effective date pre-existing clause. So again, these are all things that are very, very similar between 2 of them. Optional riders. They're both going to have the ability to add home care to this. And so, with Aetna, you can actually get a little bit more benefit, a little more robust benefit, but you can't get any inflation. Whereas GTL, it's not quite as big of a home care benefit, but you can add the inflation to it. So let's look at, first of all, let's look at Aetna's. You've got, you can pick a weekly benefit here, $150, $300, $450, $600, $750, all up to $1,200 a week. So $4,800 a month benefit's a pretty robust home care benefit. And you can pick, of course, 13 weeks, a quarter a year, half a year, or a full year on that. So again, it's reusable one time. Same rule, that 6 months of no claim, the benefits are restore again. Over here on GTLs, they're going to do visits here. It's a little different way of doing it. And believe me, visits can last even longer than a year. I mean, if you've got 90, you've got 180 visits, and they're coming out twice a week, it might take you 2 years to burn through that on one particular claim. So benefit options here are 25, 50, or 75 per visit, and you can either do 90 visits or 180 visits. Okay, and they do let you inflate that. And so if I'm selling something like a $50 or a 90-day, well, I'm going to go ahead and put the inflation in there. If I'm doing Aetna, I might just go ahead and just do $900 a week, for example, and call it good enough. So I don't worry about the inflation. So anyway, slightly different ways of offering the home care here. It's one of the bigger, I guess, discrepancies between the two. But they both have a pretty solid home care plan that you can add with them. And again, if I'm doing a short-term care, I'm typically not doing it just for the nursing home because we know that 80% of claims start at home. And so I'm usually always going to add this home care rider. All right. All right, the application process. They both require initial premium to be submitted with the application, either check or EFT. The average short-term application processing time for both companies is about 5 to 12 business days. These do get issued quick. I can attest to that. I just wrote one a couple weeks ago. I believe that was a recovery cash plan with GTL, but yeah, that got issued very quickly. All right, let's highlight the differences then, because again, there's a lot of similarities. So with GTL, they have inflation. Okay. Now again, if you're talking to someone in their 50s, this is very important. I can tell you that most of the short term that I write, it's usually because people are declined. Or they can't afford it. Maybe they're 76 years old. They're beyond the age 74, and I want to give them a little one-year nursing home benefit. I'm not as worried about a 74-year-old having inflation. However, I would rather have that option if I had it available to me. So Aetna's doesn't have inflation. GTL's recovery cash does. Now, there are a lot of differences as we went through. Aetna's does have the hospital indemnity, where GTL does not. So again, those hospital indemnities are handy little benefits to add. It's an inexpensive rider, and they can really help those people out. If they have a hospital stay of any kind, if they're holding an Advantage plan, which again, about half the people out in America do know. Policy fees. Highlighting the differences again. One has a policy fee, one does not. GTL doesn't go away; it's there every year. They factor into it. I think you add like $1.66 or whatever to the premium. That just kind of gets built in there. Spousal discount. Recovery cash does have a 10% discount that's applied to each policy when they apply together. There is no spousal discount with Aetna. Another difference here, of course, we talked about Aetna's got that 10-day bed reservation benefit where GTL does not. The appointment process, this is interesting here. Lynn added a slide in this for us just because GTL has been our portfolio for years. Many people have already got this plan in their portfolio, but recovery cash can be added also quickly and easily. It's only a single page addendum, so typically this appointment process can take 1 to 2 weeks, and actually with Aetna lately, they've been taking about 3 weeks or more. Ever since the pandemic and whatnot, it seems like the licensing department's either on skeleton crew or maybe they're back now, but it just seems like we've been seeing a little bit more of a delay. And so if you're thinking about adding these plans, if you're thinking about getting appointed, or maybe you can see the need coming for one, heck, if you just don't have it, I think they're great plans to have. Go ahead and get that kind of request in a little bit ahead of time, especially if you're in Pennsylvania, for example, or some of the states that require the pre-appointment. GTL pays for the first state appointment. It's an interesting thing that they do. So once you submit your business, they're going to pay for that state appointment. Renewal fees are billed to the agent or their upline if applicable. I can tell you this. Don't let this freak you out, because if you write a case for us, we'll pay your renewal fee for whatever state you're writing in, as long as you're writing business. A lot of carriers are taking this attitude, I guess. You see this in the industry more and more. To keep you appointed in every state, they've got to activate and they've got to reappoint you and keep that activated. So, certain states charge you $10 per agent to keep you active. And so a lot of them just do this they put you in this just-in-time status where they're not going to pay the state the $10 to activate you if you're never going to write anything. So a lot of times they'll kind of wait until you do write to go and get that activated, as a way of saving money. We're seeing more and more companies do this. Don't want to bore you with this. Suffice to say that I've never charged a renewal fee or a reappointment fee to any agent that's produced an app for me. So don't let them try to charge you if they will. If GTL sends you a bill, just call me. We'll get it taken care of. So just something to point out, I guess. Licensing at this appointment can be right here. They're saying it could be a 5-week. Let me read what you put here. Yes, adding recovery cash is quick. I apologize if I said that about the other carrier too. This is what we're talking about. So recovery cash with GTL may take a week or two. Aetna's been a little longer. Okay, they've just been having, they're a bigger company, I guess. They're Aetna's licensing right now is converting a lot to the electronic invite to get appointed. And so for whatever reason, maybe it's a learning curve for us, other carriers or other, I know brokerages are kind of telling us the same thing. It's just taking a little longer to get things appointed with Aetna. So if you need that recovery care, let us know as soon as you can. And with them, they have 10 states that require you to be licensed before you can solicit. Whereas the GTL only has Pennsylvania. Just off the top of my head, I know all the states that end in A: Georgia, Virginia, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. There's another A in there too. I don't have them all memorized, but there are pre-appointment states out there that require you. California's another one. They're going to require you, in Washington actually. So I know all the ones that end in A for some reason are pre-appointment states. So just be aware of that. Underwriting. GTLs has 11 questions, yes/no questions, and a bill chart, and they'll do a pharmaceutical check for all applicants. They'll also do a phone interview for all applicants 75 or older. Sometimes they'll need them for a younger applicant if the person says they had cancer, 5 years ago or something. So typically, generally speaking, they'll only do a phone interview for 75-plus-year-olds, but they will do a pharmaceutical check on everybody. They do have a height bill chart. For Aetna's recovery care, they don't use a bill chart. So right there, for those of you keeping score at home, if you have someone that's maybe a little overweight, well, then I'm probably looking at recovery cash. Then I'm looking at Aetna's recovery care. They have 7 yes/no health questions, which again, some of these are multi-part questions. I always kind of get a kick out of how some companies will say they only have 4 questions, but each question has like 11 parts to it. But that's. And they also do a RX or pharmaceutical check and a phone review on all applicants. So kind of verify information. Subtle differences here. So again, just to review, GTL 11 questions, pharmaceutical check. And they will do a phone review on people that are 75 or older. Aetna, of course, they don't use a bill chart. That's key, right? If you have those people that aren't going to qualify because of weight. They have 7 yes/no questions. They do a pharmaceutical check and a phone interview on everybody. All right. The application process. This is kind of an interesting thing, I guess. We heard this from our new business department. Aetna's recovery care applications will be marked incomplete and returned if there are 3 missing requirements, dates, ineligible handwriting, etc., probably or more. The HIP authorization is not included in the app packs, but will delay processing if missing. Just be sure when you're going to write this thing, I know we have attached a lot of stuff. If you call GoldenCare to get the supplies, we try to put that in there with the forms. So and if you're emailed, you can always get supplies for both of these by emailing supplies@goldencareusa.com. Otherwise, you can email marketing@goldencareusa.com. We'll get your brochures or applications or all any coverages or whatever you need for these. So with GTL's recovery cash, the applications can continue to be processed while missing requirements are out. In other words, like most companies do things. But the policy will not be issued until those are satisfied. So GTL kind of does it how most companies do it. Aetna more or less says they'll only complete it and send it back to you if there's some things missing. So Aetna's a little more persnickety with that. Make sure we have the apps right. I suggest to all my brokers, just a blanket statement, instead of mailing all your stuff into the carriers, I strongly urge you to mail it through GoldenCare. We have 6 dedicated people that scrub everything here. Everyone's got a different category or a different carrier they're assigned to. They will go through it, scan it, and get it over to the carrier the same day we receive it. They'll fix things that need fixing. They'll reach out to the agent if they're missing something. I promise you have less delays or problems if you mail them through GoldenCare. You certainly don't have to, but a lot of folks do. Okay. So the premiums. Finally here, we're going to wrap up with this. We're just taking an example at $200 a day, which is a $6,000 a month benefit. Okay. That's a 1-year benefit at 360 days. And we did a 20-day elimination period. Remember, one has a policy fee, one doesn't. But you look at those rates, pretty close, right? Aetna's rate comes up. This is for a 51-year-old single female. $477 for Aetna's recovery care, $433 for GTL's recovery cash. Now, home care. We also added a $200 a day benefit here. I'll take that back. We maxed the benefits out, which means more or less with Aetna's, we did the whole $4,800 with no inflation. With GTL's, we did I believe they went up to $75 per visit with the 5% compound inflation and 4 of the 180 visits. So even with that inflation, that GTL's home care came in a little lower. Because again, it's per visit. It's not $4,800 a month. So there's certainly Aetna's home care has a little more robust benefit, and that's why you're going to see that $904 annually. But you don't have to use Aetna's full benefit, right? You could have just done instead of $1,200 a week, you may be on to $900 a week or $600 a week or what have you. So, anyways, premiums are pretty comparable on this. Remember, these are 1-year benefits, 1-year plans. They're reusable ones. So, when you quote someone that's 60s or 70s, you quote them a $4,000 or $5,000 long-term care plan, they're usually like, we can't afford that. I mean, between husband and wife, it's $9,000. And so I start looking real hard at these short-term care plans, which I know knocks out 70, 80% of the risk for about a quarter or half the premium. So I use them a lot for my declines or for those folks that just frankly have waited too long. and they want to have something. And don't be afraid. It looks like there's one slide here. Special offer. What are we doing here? This might be older. Yes, we will get you complimentary access to our Strategian. If you don't know what Strategian is, it quotes long-term care plans. We've now added short-term care plans, and they're all the ones available in the market, so you can compare them and contrast them or shop them. I think we also have burials in there now as well. But if you don't know what that Strategian is, just go to GoldenCareAgent.com. That's our agent website anyways. There's just an arsenal of tools, calculators, great things to use in there. Strategian, of course, is just a great comparison tool. It puts all the carriers in a category, again, whether it's short-term care, long-term care, burials, long-term care and life hybrid products. It's just a great way of comparing rates for several carriers across the board. You have access to that for attendees. So I'll just kind of wrap with this. Just my soapbox, my 2 cents. Short-term care is kind of a thing that's here to stay. Long-term care has been harder and harder to get. It's gotten more expensive. The carriers are kind of leaving this industry. 10 short years ago, we had 120 companies offering long-term care. Now we're down to about 7. And about 3 of those you can't get. You can't do New York Life or Northwest Mutual without being, they're captive arrangements. So there are really very, very few options in long-term care for you to broker anymore. So it's really imperative that if you're in the long-term care arena, you got to have some of these bid players, especially for those folks. And we all know who they wait too long. They wait till they're 70 or 72, and the wife has a stroke, and suddenly he wants to help get some care for her. Whatever reason, or maybe it's the kids that call and say mom and dad are getting up there, they're getting to the point where they need some help. Can we do anything? There's just tons of people that wait too long. And by the way, if they can't qualify for even these plans, like GoldenCare, we also have other plans that will take anyone. The True Freedom, for example, is just a prepaid home care plan. So I'll urge you with this, and I'll close with this. Our number is 800-842-7799. Our agent website, GoldenCareAgent.com. You can get more tools, services, stuff to help you with what you're doing. We have pre-recorded training on this topic, on all the topics and all the plans that we have. So we have a variety of trainers, lots of tools, lots of pre-recorded training. So if you need help, tools, or anything you see here on your screen, it's all available at GoldenCareAgent.com, or give us a call, 800-842-7799. I hope today's webinar was helpful, kind of just looking at the similarities and just a couple subtle differences there between the GTL Recovery Cash and Aetna's Recovery Care. So if you have a need for one of those 2 plans, give us a call. We'll walk you through it, and we'll help you with whatever case you're working on. So I want to go ahead and I'm going to see if there's any questions quick here. Let's do presentation mode. Let me see what we got here. All right. I do have a couple of thank you. Actually, some people said they enjoyed it. This will be recorded, and they will be mailed out a copy of this presentation, because I think with this presentation, you're right. I'm almost just reading to you. It's just basically showing the plan side by side. That one slide especially to me is very helpful. I think the opening slide, I can almost do the whole presentation just from right here, just showing the 2 plans side by side. So tons of similarities, but depending on which state you're in, or if they're heavier, or if they have weight issues or certain meds, let us help you place those. So anyways, I'll leave the 800 number here for a second. I want to thank you for coming on board. 800-842-7799. Good luck selling, folks.